The nice thing about learning a cheek gainer is that you don't fully go over your head the same way you would for a backflip. So the cheek gainer is kind of off axis, so it's not as dangerous as a backflip where you go directly over the head. So if you're scared of doing a cheek gainer, what you can start by is doing the progression. The progression looks a little bit like this. The reason this is a progression for a cheek gainer is that the cheek gainer is basically that trick, but with more height and a little more inverted. So if you're scared, you can start by doing that and getting more height and getting more inverted every attempt. So you start by doing that, and then you increase it so you get more and more height up until the point where your head is a little bit above the feet. So to get into it, we're going to use a J-step. So my last foot that I'm going to use to get into the cheek gainer is going to be my left. So that means my J-step setup is going to start with my left foot as well. The J-step has 3 steps. So we start off by the same one that you're going to launch off of. So mine's going to be my left. You do left, then right a little further down, and then left again. So left, right, left. So if you're right-footed, then what you're going to do is the same thing but mirrored. So it's going to be right, left, right. So you saw that with my second step, I'm actually bringing my arms backwards and getting ready for the cheek gainer. So it's going to look like this. Left foot, then right. My arms are already backwards, ready to launch for the cheek gainer. And then left foot is when you actually swing your arms for the flip. So another thing you want to make sure with the J-step is that the second step and the third step are not too close together. The reason is, if the second step and third step are too close, you barely get any kick. You see how close they are? If they're like this, there's not that much distance for you to get the kick for the cheek gainer. So when you do that, you want to make sure you actually get a bit of distance on the last step so that your legs are actually split like this and ready for the kick. So before doing the cheek gainer, you also want to make sure that you stretch the splits. So I'm going to be kicking my right leg up. So the splits that I'm going to stretch is the sideways splits like this with the right leg in front. The reason for this is the more flexible you are, the better your kick will be, so it'll make the flip faster, but also you're going to kick more and have your leg further, which means you'll actually have less flip to do because we're going to land this on one leg. So right now we're at the last step of the J-step setup. The leg is backwards like this, so you see how my right leg will be backwards and my arms are backwards, and then I want to kick and swing my arms at the same time. So at first your kick is probably going to be a little weak with the knee bent like this. But over time you want to make sure you straighten out that leg to get as much power as possible. Because if you kick like this, you'll get more power than if you're just kneeing it like this. So you swing your arms and kick your leg at the same time. And while you're doing this, you also want to make sure that you jump off of the leg that's on the ground to try and get as much height as possible. So if you want to practice that a few times, it'll look a little bit like this. At first, before doing the cheek gainer, you can try doing the J-step into a little bit of a twist like I did there. That'll help you practice and get comfortable with the setup before you try the flip. So once you do that and you feel like you have the right momentum for the flip and you feel like you're powerful while you're doing the little practice twist, then you're ready to do the cheek gainer. So when you're ready, you're going to be jumping, just like I told you. You're going to kick, swing your arms, and jump off the leg. And then you're kind of going to look over your shoulder with your head. Looking over your shoulder is going to help you twist because there's a bit of a twist for the cheek gainer. You can also use your shoulders to twist a little, but you want to make sure you don't do it too much because you might turn it into something like a cork. So you're going to use your shoulders a little to twist and then spot for the ground with your head on the side that you're twisting, and that should be enough to get you to do the tiny bit of twist that you need for this flip. So as you're kicking for the flip, your legs are going to go around and slightly over you. So this leg that I'm kicking, I'm going to try and get it around, slightly above my head, and bring it over the other side so I can land on it. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to land on one foot because it's a lot easier that way because the foot that you kick is going to be a lot closer to the ground than the foot that you launch off of. So you should be able to spot the ground a little bit before the halfway mark of the flip. So I'm going to kick, try and spot the ground, and then when you see the ground, you can bring the leg that you kick towards the ground to go and land. So as you land, you should be slightly twisting a little because of the twist, and then you land on one foot, and then at that point you catch yourself and stop the twist by landing with the other foot on the ground like this. It's going to take a lot of practice to get used to it since this trick is a little bit weird and off axis, but once you get comfortable with it, it's really easy. Just make sure that you remember the progression. If you're having a hard time getting the full flip, make sure that you're getting enough jump and enough kick. So make sure you focus on that to get as much power as possible. You can also try tucking during the flip. It's not fully needed because of the axis of this flip, but tucking could help you get more flip. If you choose to do it tucked, don't bring your hands to your knees. If you bring your hands to your knees, it might look something like a frisbee. So you want to make sure that you just slightly bring your knees towards your chest just to help the flip get around faster.